The Human Security Officer, Part 54. The crew of the Blue Nebula found themselves amidst the vibrant tapestry of human life, mingling with the townsfolk of Erin as the sun dipped below the horizon. Excitement filled the air, and the atmosphere buzzed with energy as the celebration began. From the moment they set foot in the town, the crew had been welcomed with open arms, and now the spirit of festivity enveloped them. As twilight descended, the streets came alive with a cacophony of sound. Music floated through the town like a gentle breeze, pulling everyone toward the heart of the festivities. The crew, initially overwhelmed by the sheer volume of activity, could not help but be drawn in. Flutes, drums, and strings combined to create a harmonious melody that resonated deep within them. To the humans, this was a familiar celebration, the yearly tradition. To the crew of the Nebula, it was a bewildering spectacle that ignited their curiosity and joy. The music grew louder as they approached, filling their senses with an infectious energy. Deeg, Tunny T, and Gareth exchanged glances, their initial apprehension dissipating as the rhythm urged them closer. "Are they fighting?" one of the crew whispered, squinting at the chaotic scene unfolding before them. "Surely not." "Maybe they're being chased," another mused, glancing around for any sign of danger. "A predator?" "One of those wolves," came a concerned voice from the back. But as they pressed on, the truth became clear. The townsfolk were not engaged in any conflict, rather, they were participating in a celebration of movement and joy. Laughter and cheers erupted from the crowd as people hopped, twirled, and danced with wild abandon. Every gesture was an exaggerated expression of happiness, each movement a testament to the unrestrained joy that infused the night. The crew soon found themselves at the edge of the celebration, feeling somewhat like spectators at a grand spectacle. They exchanged hesitant glances, unsure of how to join in this exuberant display of human culture. It was Deeg who broke the tension, his excitement bubbling over. "Well, it's a celebration. Let's go," he shouted, his voice cutting through the din. With a determined stride, he moved toward the throng of dancers, his crew trailing behind him. Tunny T and Gareth followed, their apprehension fading in the face of Deeg's enthusiasm. Even Thwill, who had remained with the ship for much of their stay, found the courage to step forward, his previous hesitation melting away in the face of communal joy. As they joined the revelers, the music swelled once more, shifting into an upbeat tempo that invigorated the crowd. Laughter and cheers echoed around them, enveloping the crew in a warm embrace. The townspeople welcomed them with open arms, and for the first time, the crew felt like they belonged. Tunny T, ever curious about the local customs, was eager to sample the culinary delights the townsfolk had promised. Throughout their stay, he had heard whispers of a veritable feast awaiting them. While Deeg was motivated by the prospect of tasting the exotic fare, Tunny T was more focused on gathering data about the nutritional aspects of Terran food. With his keen interest in dietary requirements, he was determined to understand how the locals' cooking reflected their needs. As they ventured deeper into the festivities, Gareth found himself swept away in a different direction. The energy of the crowd was intoxicating, but he had his sights set on a singular goal: to find Penn, the human he had come to know during their stay. He navigated through the throngs of people, his height a disadvantage in the sea of jubilant humanity, but he was determined. His search was not without its challenges. A hefty man stumbled into him, nearly sending him sprawling. The man laughed heartily, raising a glass filled with a frothy liquid. "Sorry there, little fella," he bellowed, barely able to contain his mirth. "Maybe I should set this down and grab a plate instead." "Ha ha ha." With a jovial wave, he turned to join his friends. Gareth rolled his eyes, annoyance bubbling beneath the surface. He felt the weight of the man's joviality, contrasting sharply with his own desire for a more meaningful connection. But when he spotted Penn, seated on a bench and watching the festivities with an amused expression, his frustration faded away. He approached her, trying to shake off the encounter. Pen's hair caught the dim light, standing out against the backdrop of jubilant bodies swaying to the music. She caught his gaze and smiled warmly, an invitation to sit beside her. "Hey there," she greeted, crossing her legs in a casual manner. "Enjoying the show?" "Somewhat," Gareth replied, his voice low. "Just trying to navigate the chaos." She chuckled, glancing around at the swirling mass of humanity. "It's a bit overwhelming at first, isn't it? But once you get into the spirit of it, it's hard not to smile." "Is that what this is?" Gareth gestured to the energetic dance floor. "A spirit? It looks more like chaos." Pen's laughter rang out like music in his ears. "To some, it might seem chaotic, but it's a celebration of life. These people are expressing themselves, letting go of their inhibitions. It's beautiful." "Beautiful, perhaps," he conceded, his brow furrowing as he watched a particularly exuberant dancer spin in a wild circle, "but it appears to be quite dangerous as well." "Dangerous?" Pen raised an eyebrow, a playful challenge in her gaze. "What do you mean? Look at them. They're throwing themselves around without a care in the world. I fear I may be crushed if I step out there." "Ah, but that's part of the fun. You just have to let go and trust that everyone is in it together. Besides," she leaned closer, lowering her voice conspiratorially, "I think they'd be more careful with someone like you." Gareth raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Me?" "Yes. You're unique, an outsider. They'd likely want to keep you safe, show you a good time. That's how humans are, they want to share their joy." "Interesting perspective," he mused, his curiosity piqued. "And what about you? Are you going to dance?" Pen shook her head, a faint blush creeping across her cheeks. "Oh no, definitely not. I'd need a few more drinks in me for that. You see, I'm not much of a dancer." Gareth chuckled softly. "You mean to say that you'd rather drink than dance?" "I find that hard to believe." "It's true," she insisted, lifting a frosty glass to emphasize her point. "I'm more of an observer. I enjoy the music, the energy, and the food. Dancing? Not really my thing." Gareth considered her words. "You'd rather sit back and watch the chaos unfold?" "Exactly. It's fascinating to see how people express themselves, and it's nice to enjoy a moment without having to be the center of attention." "Fair enough," he replied, glancing at the dance floor, where couples swayed in perfect harmony. "I can understand the appeal of observing." Pen grinned, clearly pleased with his agreement. "Then we can be each other's company. We'll enjoy the festivities from a safe distance." As they settled into conversation, Pen offered Gareth some of her food. Her plate overflowed with colorful delicacies, the aroma wafting tantalizingly through the air. Gareth glanced at the assortment, his curiosity piqued once more. "What is this?" he asked, gesturing to a particularly fragrant dish. "Oh, that's brisket." "It's so good," she exclaimed, her eyes lighting up with enthusiasm. "Brisket?" Gareth repeated, furrowing his brow. "What is that?" "It's a cut of meat, slow-cooked until it's tender and flavorful. You're missing out if you don't try it." Gareth hesitated, recalling the data Tunny T had shared about Terran foods. "I'm not sure how safe it is for me to eat. There could be cross-contamination with the other dishes." Pen waved her hand dismissively. "You'll be fine. Besides, you can try just a little. It's all about experiencing the culture, right?" He considered her words, feeling the weight of her gaze upon him. "I suppose you have a point. Perhaps just a small taste wouldn't hurt." "Exactly," she cheered, and as she pushed the plate closer, Gareth felt a pang of guilt for his initial reluctance. "Okay, let's see. He pulled up the data file Tunny T had shared with the crew on Terran Foods. While the risks were evident, the allure of joining in this human experience tugged at him. "Want to try a bite?" Penn offered, her expression hopeful. Gareth examined the dish before him. The brisket looked tender and rich, surrounded by an array of colorful vegetables. "Perhaps just a taste," he conceded, lifting a piece with his fingers and popping it into his mouth. The moment the flavors exploded on his palate, he was taken aback. The smoky richness of the brisket combined with the freshness of the vegetables created an unexpected burst of sensation. "This is quite good," he admitted, his eyes widening in surprise. Penn beamed, clearly pleased with his reaction. "See? Told you. It's one of my favorites." Gareth chuckled softly, wiping his hands on a napkin. "Well, now I feel guilty for avoiding this for so long. Thank you for encouraging me." "Anytime," she replied, her enthusiasm infectious. This is what celebrations are all about, sharing experiences and trying new things. As they continued to eat, the vibrant atmosphere of the festival enveloped them. The music swelled, and the dancers spun around them, filling the air with laughter and joy. Gareth found himself mesmerized by the spectacle, a feeling of belonging washing over him. "Do you ever miss it?" he asked suddenly, glancing at Penn as they watched the revelers dance. "Miss what?" she replied, her curiosity piqued. "Being part of something like this. The camaraderie, the shared joy." Penn paused, considering his question. "Honestly, sometimes it can be easy to get caught up in work and forget how to enjoy life. But moments like this remind me why we celebrate in the first place." Gareth nodded thoughtfully. "I can understand that. It's easy to lose sight of the simple pleasures in life when you're focused on duties and responsibilities." "Exactly," she agreed, her eyes shining. "But tonight, we can let go of those worries and just be present. That's what it means to truly celebrate." As the night wore on, Gareth and Penn exchanged stories, laughter, and bites of food. Each shared moment forged a connection that transcended their cultural differences. The crew of the Blue Nebula gradually became more comfortable in their surroundings, joining in the festivities with growing enthusiasm. The sound of music, laughter, and chatter filled the air, creating a symphony of human existence that wrapped around them like a warm blanket. The night unfolded in a whirlwind of energy, as the celebration blossomed into a night to remember. In the center of it all, Deed danced with wild abandon, his body moving to the rhythm of the music. Tunny T observed with fascination, taking notes on the various styles and movements of the human dancers. Even Thwill had found the courage to join in, albeit clumsily, as he tried to mimic the jubilant expressions around him. As the festivities continued, the elder mayor stepped onto a table, commanding attention with her voice. "Hello, everyone! Can you hear me?" she called, her presence radiating authority and warmth. The crowd quieted, their cheers giving way to attentive silence as the music softened into a gentle backdrop. "I don't want to cut into the festivities too much," she began, a twinkle in her eye, "but I wanted to express my gratitude for each and every one of you. We've worked hard to cultivate this community, and tonight, we celebrate not only our achievements but the joy of coming together." Cheers erupted once more, and Penn exchanged a glance with Gareth, their excitement palpable. "Before we dive into the rest of the celebration," the mayor continued, "I'd like to officially invite our guests from the Blue Nebula to join us in our festivities. Your presence has enriched our lives, and we are grateful for your company." The crowd erupted into cheers, their enthusiasm infectious. Gareth felt a surge of warmth at the invitation, and he turned to Penn, whose face lit up with delight. "See? You're part of it now," she exclaimed, nudging him playfully. "Indeed," he replied, a smile breaking across his face. "Perhaps I should dance after all." Penn laughed, and the two of them rose from their seats, joining the throngs of dancers. The music surged once more, and Gareth felt the rhythm pulse through him, urging him to let go and embrace the celebration. As he danced alongside Penn, he felt a sense of liberation. The worries that had weighed him down melted away, replaced by the exhilarating joy of movement and connection. The crowd encircled them, and in that moment, they became part of something larger than themselves. Time seemed to lose its meaning as they twirled and spun, laughter mingling with the melodies that filled the air. The night stretched on, a tapestry woven with shared stories, laughter, and the beauty of human connection. In the heart of the festivities, the crew of the Blue Nebula found themselves fully immersed in the spirit of celebration. Each moment was a reminder of the richness of life, the bonds that transcended species and cultures, and the joy of being alive. As the moon climbed higher in the sky, the festival continued, a testament to the strength of community and the power of connection. The crew had come to Aaron as outsiders, but they would leave as friends, forever changed by the warmth of human celebration. With every beat of the music, every shared laugh, and every joyful dance, they had woven themselves into the fabric of this vibrant town, leaving behind a legacy of friendship and connection that would echo long after the festivities had ended. And in that shared moment of joy, the crew of the Blue Nebula discovered the true meaning of celebration, a reminder that no matter where you come from, we are all part of the same cosmic dance, and it is in the joy of connection that we find our greatest strength.